Have you ever wondered why suffering exists in our lives? It's a question that has echoed across time, resonating in the hearts of countless individuals. The answer, according to Buddhism, lies in a profound truth, the first noble truth, known as dukkha. Dukkha, a term rich in meaning, acknowledges the existence of suffering as an inherent part of life. It's an idea that may seem gloomy at first glance, but in reality, it's a call for profound understanding of our human experience. Now let's delve a little deeper into this concept. Suffering, as understood in Buddhism, isn't confined to the obvious physical pain we feel when we stub our toe, or the emotional distress we experience when we lose a loved one. It extends beyond these immediate instances, reaching into the very fabric of our existence. Consider, for instance, the dissatisfaction that creeps up on us when we don't get what we want, or when the things we enjoy come to an end. It's that sense of unfulfillment, that gnawing feeling of not enough that hounds our every step. That too is a form of suffering. Then there's the inevitable reality of aging, sickness and death. These are aspects of life that we often prefer not to think about, but they are as much a part of our existence as breathing, eating, or sleeping. The fact that we must age, that we will fall ill, and that we will eventually die, these truths too are encompassed in dukkha. But why acknowledge suffering? Why not simply ignore it and focus on the joys of life? Well, because acknowledging suffering, accepting its existence, isn't about fostering a sense of pessimism. Instead, it forms the basis for a deeper, more authentic understanding of life. It's the starting point from which we can begin to explore the other three noble truths, leading us towards a path of liberation and peace. So, as we embark on this journey of understanding, let's remember that accepting the existence of suffering forms the basis of our understanding of the Four Noble Truths. Ever pondered on what causes our suffering? A question that has troubled humanity since the dawn of consciousness. The Buddha, in his profound wisdom, identified the root of all suffering as samudaya, or the origin of suffering. Now, what does this mean? Imagine a world where everyone is in constant pursuit of something. It could be material possessions, relationships, status, or even abstract concepts like happiness and success. This relentless craving, according to the Buddha, is the primary cause of our suffering. We clutch onto these desires so tightly that the thought of losing them induces fear, anxiety, and distress. The more we desire, the more we suffer. But here's a twist. The second noble truth isn't about advocating for a life devoid of desires. After all, desire is a fundamental part of human nature. It's the fuel that drives us to achieve, to explore, and to grow. It's about comprehending the transient nature of our desires. The things we long for today might not hold the same value tomorrow. The people we hold dear might not always be with us. The ideas we cling to could change with time. So how do we navigate this complex web of desires without falling into the trap of suffering? It's about understanding that our desires are not the be-all and end-all of our existence. They are like passing clouds, ever-changing and impermanent. It's about learning to enjoy the beauty of a blooming flower without mourning its inevitable wilting. It's about relishing the joy of a delicious meal without lamenting its eventual end. The Buddha's teachings are not about rejecting the world and its pleasures, but about finding a balance. It's about understanding the nature of our desires, acknowledging their impermanence, and learning to detach ourselves from the outcomes. It's about embracing the ebb and flow of life without letting it disrupt our inner peace. Understanding the root cause of suffering gives us the power to change our circumstances. By comprehending the transient nature of our desires, we can navigate life's ups and downs with grace, resilience, and, most importantly, less suffering. Can we truly end our suffering? This question brings us to the heart of the third noble truth of Buddhism, Nirodha, the cessation of suffering. Picture a flame. What happens when you remove the fuel that feeds it? The flame extinguishes. Similarly, suffering, according to Buddhism, is not an inescapable part of life. It can be extinguished by removing its fuel, desire and ignorance. But how can we extinguish the flame of suffering? The answer lies in the understanding and practice of the Noble Eightfold Path, which we'll explore in the next scenes. But for now, let's focus on the concept of Nirodha. Nirodha is the realization that suffering can cease to exist. It's not about suppressing our desires or ignoring our pain. It's about understanding the nature of suffering, recognizing its causes, and then uprooting them from our lives. Now you might be wondering, what does it feel like to be free from suffering? Buddhism describes this state as nirvana. It's a state of liberation and freedom, not just from physical pain, but from all forms of dissatisfaction and unrest. Nirvana is often misunderstood as a mystical or otherworldly state. But in reality, it's a profound experience of peace and contentment right here in this life. It's the ultimate liberation from the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth, the cycle that perpetuates suffering. But remember, reaching nirvana is not about escaping or withdrawing from the world, it's about engaging with life fully, but without the shackles of uncontrolled desire and ignorance. It's about living mindfully, with wisdom and compassion, free from the chains of suffering. So can we truly end our suffering? The Buddha's teachings suggest that yes, we can, and that's a powerful message of hope. It tells us that no matter how deep our suffering may be, there's always a path to liberation. The possibility of ending suffering provides hope and a path forward. It's a reminder that we have the potential to extinguish the flame of suffering and experience the profound peace of nirvana. How can we navigate our path to end suffering? This question brings us to the fourth noble truth known as Magga. Magga presents us with a roadmap, a clear path leading to the cessation of suffering. This truth is not simply a single step but a complex journey elaborated in the form of the Noble Eightfold Path. It's a comprehensive guide, a way of life that involves understanding the world around us and our place within it. It's about developing ethical conduct, mental discipline, and wisdom. This path does not promise a quick fix to our problems. Instead, it offers a gradual transformation, a shift in perspective. It's a journey that requires patience, dedication, and self-awareness. But as we traverse this path, we find ourselves moving closer to inner peace, away from the clutches of suffering. The path to end suffering is a journey of self-discovery and transformation. What steps can we take towards ending our suffering? This question brings us to the heart of the Buddha's teachings, the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is not a linear journey with a set beginning and end, but rather, a dynamic, interconnected web of practices that touch every aspect of our lives. Let's delve into these 8 steps, each signified by the word right, which in this context means wholesome, skillful, or in alignment with the truth of reality. First, we have right understanding. This means to see the world not as we think it is, but as it truly is. To understand the impermanence of all things, the interconnectedness of life, and the reality of suffering. Next is right thought. This is the commitment to cultivate intentions of kindness and compassion, rather than thoughts rooted in desire, ill will, or harm. It's about cultivating a mind that wishes well for ourselves and others. Third, we find right speech. This is about speaking truthfully, kindly, and helpfully. It encourages us to avoid lies, gossip, harsh words, and idle chatter, and instead use our words to promote harmony and understanding. Fourth is right action. This involves behaving ethically and morally, refraining from actions that harm others like stealing, killing, or misconduct in sexual desires. Instead, it encourages actions that are kind, compassionate, and respectful of all life. Fifth, we have right livelihood. This step encourages us to earn our living in a way that doesn't harm others and is ethically sound. It's about aligning our work with our deepest values. The sixth step, right effort, is about cultivating a positive state of mind by letting go of unwholesome thoughts and promoting wholesome ones. It's a commitment to personal and spiritual growth. Seventh is right mindfulness. This involves being fully aware of our body, feelings, thoughts, and all phenomena in the present moment. It's about cultivating a clear, focused mind that is fully engaged with the here and now. And finally, we have right concentration. This refers to the development of a deep, unified, and focused mind through practices like meditation. It's about training our mind to remain calm and centered, regardless of the circumstances. These 8 steps form a comprehensive approach to living a meaningful and fulfilling life. They are not isolated practices but interconnected aspects of a single path that permeates every corner of our existence. The Noble Eightfold Path guides us on a journey to end suffering, leading to a life of peace, wisdom, and compassion.